Howdy, howdy, everyone. Old Gare out here at the Fishing Shack. Welcome to this week's Fishing Chums Fishing Report. The end of March. How about that? Next week in a few days, it's going to be April. And boy, we love April in the Ozarks. Fishing's just going to go crazy, and it's been pretty good, by the way. Now we have a lot of new viewers, so we do want to say, if you don't know me, my name's Gary Heydrich, and I've been an old fishing guide in the Ozarks for years, also walleye guide out in Kansas for years, and I've been in broadcasting in the outdoor beat, television and radio for many years. Don't even want to tell you how much. We have a great show for you. We have some great reports from out at Pomme de Terre on crappie. Have some good walleye reports from Stockton and some nice fish being caught below the dam at Truman. All this and more coming your way. Let's go fishing.
Fish and Chums!
Okay, golly, want to thank all you viewers once again. My golly, we had over 10,000 views last week on Facebook and of course right here on YouTube. And boy, we want to thank you very much. That's a lot of viewers in the Ozarks here. God bless all you people from out of the Ozarks area that's tuning in as well. So, tell you what, if you haven't subscribed, we want you to subscribe to the big little show right here. All you have to do is push that button. It's absolutely free. And we love all of our new subscribers this past week. And for you people that have already subscribed, call a buddy, call some friends, tell them to subscribe and join our team right here on Fishing Chums. That's for sure. All right, let's go to the photo of the week. Let's go to the photo of the week right now. And we're going to be talking about Table Rock Lake. And I tell you what, Aaron David, great fisherman, took his daughter out the other day. Now look at this photo. Look at that little jayhawker. God bless you. Love you. Love the Jayhawks. But you know what I miss? I miss Missouri. You know, the old Norm Stewart days and the Jayhawks. They had that great rivalry. They're not in the same conference anymore, but gosh, I miss those days. Gosh, that was some good basketball. Congratulations, young lady. Your dad, I tell you what, you're going to be a crappie fishing gal for the rest of your life. That's for sure. Beautiful fish. That was out at Table Rock. And speaking of Table Rock, the water temperature out there this morning before I did the show, or when I was gathering my reports, 52 degrees. Of course, it can vary. Some of the river areas are going to be a little warmer, some of the creek areas, but on average, around 52 degrees. And for the weekend, I hate to be the weatherman because I think I messed up last week. I better stay out of that department. But the temperature Saturday is going to be around 56, 57 degrees, but I understand some rain. I'm not going to say rain. It will change, but they're calling for rain. Sunday, that cold front's coming through. That water temperature, the temperature is going to be 54 degrees. But that, I tell you what, front's coming in. It might be a little tough fishing on Sunday. But, you know, the Bass Pro Shop, I want to say hi to all you Bass Pro Shop people out there. They have their employees bass tournament over on Long Creek out of Bass Pro Shop Marina. And that's this weekend. And I want to say good luck to all you guys. Good luck. This is what you might want to try out at Table Rock, bass fishing wise. They're still picking up some fish on jerk baits. It's been a little slower now, but the fish they're catching are pretty nice size. Jerk baits on the points, secondary points, anywhere around some hard timber. They pick up some fish on bass jigs, dragging some bass jigs. Might want to try some docks. And they've been picking up some fish also on crankbaits, you know, wiggle warts. Do something with red. Red's been good. And some of those jerk baits, as I mentioned last week, go to that clown color. They like that right now. And swim baits. Try swim baits. Had a buddy catch a nice fish out there the other day using a swim bait with an underspin. Might just slow roll that. Grubs. I love the salt and pepper and also the smoke with the red flakes. Might try that. So hope you guys get bit out there. Hope you catch some bass this weekend. All right, as I mentioned, Aaron and David had that beautiful photo of her daughter. They've been picking up some crappie at Table Rock. I tell you what they're doing. They're going up. Some of the areas are staying with recent rains up in the river areas, but they're still picking up some fish like Point 15, where Flat Creek comes into the James River. They've been picking up some nice crappie there along the bluffs and back in the creek a little bit. Because the water's off color, minnows seems to be doing a little bit better. Some people are using jigs. And on up the James River, a few white bass have been caught this week. They're running and starting their spawning activity out there. And they've been using some jerk baits, some crank baits, some spinners, and some jigs. You know, spinners, a little action. I think a little beetle spin type thing's been working. Get that little flutter on there, little color. And they've been picking up some fish up the Kings River, some white bass and a walleye, once in a while crappie. And up the White River, if you're going to go walleye fishing, boy, I've been talking about this the last 3 weeks. They're still catching walleye up there for the few people that's fishing for them. Go way up the White, you fish the flats and the points. I tell you, they've been picking up some fish on flicker shad, trolling flicker shad, casting flicker shad, flicker minnows, Berkeleys. And they've been picking up some fish with swim baits. They've been picking up some fish on grubs and jerk baits. So might pick up a walleye up the White River, Kings River, up the James, you never know. And so Table Rock looks pretty good, but that front coming in may make it a little tough for the weekend. Okay, let's go over to Lake Taneycomo. Lake Taneycomo, water temperature was 43 degrees out there, and that cold water coming down below the dam at Table Rock. Earlier in the week, they were running 3 generators, pretty well full blast. Now they've cut that down to about 1 generator, and who knows, the weekend they may not be running anything. But they have been picking up some nice trout out there. And I'll tell you where you want to fish. One of my favorite places, Monkey Island, and then I drift on down to the bridges and on down, just keep going down to the Branson Landing area, because there's been quite a bit of activity for trout down there. Jigs have been working. I tell you what I like to use at Taneycomo this time of the year. I like a black or a darker jig. This is one of my favorite, black with a little bit of chartreuse in it. And I'll pitch that out on 4-pound test, let it get down, and just slow roll it in. And I've caught a lot of trout, some nice big trout on this particular bait. Brown's good too, olive green, and they've been picking up some fish on cinnamon, so jig fish. They've been using some jerk baits, and they've been using some, drifting some Berkeley Power eggs. It seems like orange has been good. White is not as good as last week, but pink has been good, but don't overlook that white. And I've been picking up some fish on the Berkeley trout worm. Get that trout worm in the hot pink and also orange. So might catch some trout out at Taneycomo this upcoming weekend. And speaking of trout, look at this photo, beautiful photo coming out of Trout Hollow Lodge. Love Trout Hollow Lodge. Beautiful, beautiful fish caught out of Trout Hollow Lodge. Nice, nice trout. All right, let's go to Bull Shoals now. Bull Shoals, things are starting to happen a little bit out there. I've had a good report. The water temperature, by the way, this morning was 53 degrees. And I had a good report of some crappie starting to show up around that K-Dock area. I love K-Dock area. I've caught a lot of fish there. And they're starting to catch some fish around the docks and some of the brush piles. And look at this photo out of K-Dock. Beautiful, nice crop, beautiful, beautiful crappie. That's nice quality fish. And like I say, they're picking up some fish, mainly on minnows, but they are doing some jig fishing on the docks and some of the brush piles out there. So check that out for the upcoming weekend. Bass fishing, well, it's been a little slow, but I tell you what, the fish that they've been catching are really nice size. Some really nice quality bass have been caught out there. And they're using a variety of baits, still using some jerk baits. They're using some of the boys have been going out and beating the shoreline, the rocky shoreline, on some crank baits. And they've been picking up some fish on jigs, dragging jigs. And some of the bluff areas, the points of the bluff areas, like going back into the spawning areas, try this. They've been sitting there using the Ned rig and also some drop shot fishing and casting, of course, the wiggle warts and also some jerk baits. And don't overlook the swim bait out there as well. You might catch some nice bass this weekend out at Bull Shoals. All right, let's go out to Stockton. The water temperature out there today on the surface was 49 degrees, so that's crawling up there a little bit. And I tell you what, there's been some nice walleye caught out there, out at Stockton this last week. A lot of boats out. A lot of people didn't catch any fish, but there's several people caught some nice ones. And my old buddy Jordan Lear, he's going to be fishing that bass tournament out at Table Rock, this Bass Pro Shop Employees Bass Tournament. But he had his dad out the other day. Look at this, Todd Lear. He caught this beautiful walleye, beautiful fish, out at Stockton just the other day. Good going, good photo. Good, Jordan, taking your dad fishing. I used to love to take my dad fishing. Gosh, I miss that. I really do. All right, but they're picking up some walleye out there. Jerk baits on the point, secondary point. Some people have been working the dam. And jerk bait seems to be as good as anything. But the old trick sometimes, if it's slow during the late afternoon, stay till dark. Stay right before dark, first hour into dark. Some of those walleye are moving up, and that jerk bait could pay off for you out at Stockton. The crappie fishing has been a little spotty, I understand, this week. They're picking up some fish. Some people are catching some fish, but it's been a little tough. And they're using minnows, and of course jigging minnows are just jigs. And they're finding the shad. That's the secret right now at Stockton. Get out there and find big schools of shad, cruise the points of the bluffs, cruise the big coves, and get around that brush, find any brush piles. You'll have a chance of picking up some crappie. And they've been picking up some white bass up the Sac River. Might want to try that this weekend as they're spawning up there, starting to run. Once in a while, they're picking a walleye up there as well. All right, let's go out to Pomme de Terre. We haven't heard too much about Pomme lately, but I'm telling you, things are starting to happen out there. Some pretty good reports. In fact, I want you to take a look at this photo. Eric Masser was out the other day, just a few days ago, and picked up a nice limit of crappie. Hey, look at his son, his fishing partner. Isn't that a great photo? So I'll tell you what's happening out at Pomme, what I understand. They're picking up some fish. In fact, that water temperature this morning is around 50 degrees, by the way. And what they're doing is fishing around some of the docks. And I understand Eric got into these fish up in the Pittsburgh area. But anywhere on Pomme, I would fish the docks. And you might want to go with a floating minnow or a floating jig. Or if you're a good jig fisherman, get in some jig fishing. But I do know that some of the guys have been using minnows around the docks. So that's out at Pomme. And nice fish, Eric. Good going. Good going, young man. You're a fisherman for life. What a great dad you have. And the bass fishing's picked up a little bit out there as well. They've been picking up some fish on some jerk baits, some wiggle warts, and also swim baits. It's picked up a little bit this week out at Pomme. All right, let's go out to Truman Lake. The temperature this morning when I called to get my report was 49 degrees on the surface. And the lake's high. There's a lot kind of dirty, of course, at the upper end, you know, and some of the river areas and creek areas. But the lower end's fishable. In fact, they've been catching some nice crappie out at Truman the last few days. Maybe not, you know, a lot of people are struggling. Other people are getting into limits. And they've been picking up some fish with that water clarity. You might want to go with minnows or jigging minnows. You might get into an area where they'll smack that jig. But try minnows, and some nice crappie been caught out at Truman. Catfishing's been a little slow this week, I understand. But below the dam, my gosh, we love below the dam. This photo I want to show you was taken by Sam Paxson. Boy, Sam's a great fisherman. I want to show you this photo in a minute. But he caught this great big giant walleye. And then a couple days ago, I just seen where he caught his limit of crappie too out on Truman. But look at this 12-pound, 5-ounce walleye. God bless you, Sam. That is one beautiful fish. My golly. That'd be a state record in a lot of states, I promise you. Not in Missouri, though. Great fish, though. And below the dam, they've been picking up. Guys, I've got a lot of reports and photos from below the dam, thanks to the rock rats out there, and hybrids, white bass, a few walleye, a few crappie, and of course at the upper end of the Lake of the Ozarks they're picking up some monster spoonbill on occasion. In fact, at the end of the program we're going to scroll some photos we didn't get in the report, and a guy caught a giant spoonbill, so watch out for this photo. And so that's that area. Let's look at Lake of the Ozarks. The water temperature this morning was 47 degrees, and they've been picking up some fish out there at the lower end, I understand. And I tell you what, throughout the lake, just don't overlook using a minnow, a floating minnow around the docks. I would try this. If it's clear enough, go to the jig or jig and minnow. But I understand minnows have been good. Using a float maybe about 3 feet up above your minnow and throwing around these docks or catching some fish. Try this. And at the lower end, they're going back in not only the docks, but around some of the big coves. The big coves, getting back into the big coves and using a bobber, a jigging bobber, maybe about 4 or 5 feet up above that jig, pitching it out on the shore and working it back, especially around some of the brush. They're picking up crappie. Bass fishing has been pretty good. Not very many bass fishermen out there, but they're picking up some fish on wiggle warts, on the points and secondary points, on the rocky shoreline, some of the bluffs. And of course swim baits, and they're still picking up some fish on jerk bait. That's kind of hard to overlook this time of year. All right, let's go out of Norfork. The surface temperature was 53 degrees, and you know, they're picking up some crappie out at Norfork. Not many people fishing, but they're being real quiet about it, but they are catching some real nice crappie out there off some of the brush piles. And I'm still getting a report back in some of the big creek arms and the big coves back in there. Some of the white bass and stripers and hybrids have been pushing shad back in there, and on spoons they've been picking up some nice fish on occasion. Well, we want to thank you very much. Don't go anywhere because we have more photos we want to scroll and show you. Brandon will be doing that here in a minute. We want to thank you very much for being with us. Be sure to share and like. We really appreciate that. And also subscribe one more time. Subscribe. And if you're a subscriber, tell a buddy and to have them subscribe. And if you have any photos, we're getting a lot of photos and a lot of questions we've been answering. Just go to our emails. That's the best place to get a hold of us. Email us at fishandchums@gmail.com. God bless you. Joining in on us. Tell everybody about the show. We're having a lot of fun. Over 10,000 viewers a week. And enjoy these photos. Roll 'em, Brandon.